I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but the health disparity rate in families who live in homes that have holes in their windows are significantly higher than those families that have homes with s- all four walls, roof, foundation in place, and no holes in their windows. So, what do I mean about health disparity rate? I'm talking about chronic diseases, diabetes, heart disease, blood pressure problems, obesity, all of those things are a lot higher in families and people who are part of families that live in homes that have holes in their windows. I bring this up because this is such a great analogy to those people who do not have a solid foundation in their deep core. My name is Dr. Jocelyn Conley, pelvic floor physical therapist known as the Vagina Doc. And in this video, I am going to teach you about the deep core. So, what the deep core, I mean, what is the core? The core basically, at least in my definition, with all my training and all the definitions that I've received across all the years, I separate the core into two broad terms: deep core and outer core. And I'm going to focus on the deep core in this video. So, the deep core basically is a system of muscles that is responsible for two things. Number one, to anchor your spine or control the movement of your spine so that your muscles that control your limbs, like your arms and your legs, the big muscles, can work efficiently while also protecting your spine. Number two, the function number two is to help regulate internal body pressures because our body is a pressure system. Our physiological processes like breathing, and then if we break breathing down into how it relates to vascular function, the movement of our blood throughout our body, how we uh, exchange things in and out of the cells, pressure drives those processes. So if our pressure system is off, then those physiological functions that I just mentioned, and then I don't want to forget digestion, can be impacted. So in summary, our deep core helps protect our spine and make our movement efficient, and then helps keep the container solid so that our physiological processes aren't affected by abnormal pressures because we're not maintaining it. So, what is the deep core? Now, from an anatomic, like what's our anatomy? Now, our deep core is separated, it's a system separated into four muscle groups. We have our pelvic floor muscles at the base, we have our diaphragm at the top, and then we have the walls, which are the transversus abdominis and the multifidus muscle group. So I like to describe the deep core as like our house, our foundation, the foundational materials of our house. We have the floor, the foundation, and that's what all the base of the walls are built on, and then the roof is on the walls. Our floor in our body is our pelvic floor, specifically layer 3. The walls is the transversus abdominis and multifidus, and then the roof is our diaphragm. When one of the walls become weak, we rely more. We just hope that nothing's coming in. Like if we're talking about our home, let's say if we have a hole in part of the foundation of the wall, we hope that the rain, if it's coming down, it's coming down and hitting the walls that are intact. Well, when we have weaknesses in one of the walls or an injury to one of the muscle groups within the system, then the other members of the group are inherently going to pick up the slack because our body's super smart and adapts. And so what happens in our body is certain let's let's talk about pregnancy for as an example. Our muscle tissue in the front gets our muscle and connective tissue gets stretched out. So what picks up if we don't accommodate for that, what picks up the slack? We have the low back muscles that have to work harder. Certain parts of those four muscle groups within the system are also, you have top fibers, bottom fibers. Some of the fibers become overworked. Let's say in our transversus abdominis, we have the upper fibers and the lower fibers. Well, our lower fibers might go on vacation a bit and the upper fibers work harder. And so we develop these patterns of our movement and our habits, which may stick around for the long haul if we don't change it. So this video, I taught you now how our body, our deep core relates to our house foundation. And I talked about in the beginning how the families that have problems in their foundation of their home, windows being part of the foundation in the home to keep things out, they typically have higher levels of health disparities. Now, in people that have disruptions in their deep core, have in my clinical practice and in some of the research with at least low back pain, have higher incidences of issues in their body, whether that is pain or something else. And we talked about some of the two main functions of the deep core, and that's to protect our spine and regulate body pressures. Well, when people have problems with their deep core, what I see in my practice is issues with urinary leakage, pain somewhere, or just the feeling of just not being able to feel their body or have control of their body. And the problem is because they're not balanced and they're kind of building this shell on top of this weak foundation. So we have to go back to the foundations, train the foundations as if they need to be trained in isolation. Let's say we need to not fix or help some of the muscle tissues and the connective tissues adapt because they've been stretched or they've been shortened over time. We want to gradually improve whatever needs to be improved and then integrate it within the system as quickly as possible because that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be isolated. It's supposed to be working as a system. So hope that was helpful. That this is a huge piece of not only rehab, but also fitness. And once you really have a understanding of the deep core, it's easier to connect with your body and then build and integrate these concepts into all movements that you're doing throughout your day and in your fitness programs.